Welcome to the Slow Wine Guide 2021. I'm here with Chief Operating Officer Remy Cohn from Cliff Lede Vineyards and Christopher Tynan, who's winemaker at Cliff Lede. Welcome, folks.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers.
Really thrilled to have you. We've got 3 wines up for the 2021 guide. Remy, why don't you tell us about our first wine?
Well, our first wine will be the Cliff Lede Sauvignon Blanc. The vintage that will be featured in 2021 will be 2019. And we really love making Sauvignon Blanc. So at Cliff Lede Vineyards, we're exclusively a producer of Bordeaux varieties. And the only white wine we make is this Sauvignon Blanc, which in Christopher Tynan's typical style is blended with Semillon and Sauvignon Vert to make it in a Bordeaux Blanc inspired fashion.
You're one of the few, Christopher, you're one of the few winemakers that has Sauvignon Vert. Can you tell us a little bit about that grape?
Absolutely. It's was kind of an afterthought in Bordeaux for a while, but it's been utilized now. We get ours from some old vines planted in 1947 out in Charles Valley, and they just add this beautiful stone fruit character with lots of apricots and peach pits and a little touch of floralness that just adds another little layer of complexity to a really refreshing and enjoyable wine. So it's definitely an integral part of the blend, even at 3%.
Well, it's like your spice rack, that your bit of spice rack that you had. Tell us a little bit about your Sauvignon Blanc winemaking, because you know it can really get fancy in Napa Valley. There can be a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements to it. We do some French oak fermentation, utilizing some of those wonderful cigar barrels that Didier Dagenot made famous and brought back.
Love those barrels.
We use some Burgundy Coopers as well. Most of that is neutral oak, though. We want the natural, luscious fruit from Napa to shine through. We do some concrete egg as well to give a little aerodynamic touch. And then some stainless steel to preserve those delicate aromatics and retain that fresh, vibrant acidity. So all of those, again, kind of go into the layers with the Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc and Sauvignon Vert to kind of create a very affordable wine that's punches above its weight class. It's quite complex.
There's no question about that at all. At this price point, we're going to put you in the super Sauvignon category, even though you're under $50.
Yeah, Semillon that we work with is one of Chris and I's favorite vineyards to visit every year. Chris had a relationship with Clarence Levisi, the Levisi brothers that are up in Calistoga, and they own this most incredible property right near the Isley Vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these older Italian farming families that have been in the valley for so long that still have their vineyard not planted to Cabernet, but to other varieties. So the Semillon, which is about 12% of the blend, was planted in the 70s, an old California sprawl vineyard, and it makes some of the most luscious Semillon, so much so that recently we took the budwood from that vineyard and planted it at our own estate, and we'll have some Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon planted here in Stag's Leap District as well.
Oh, now that's exciting.
We are pretty
That's really exciting. Really. Sauvignon Blanc being one of my favorite grape varieties on the planet. I'm really glad to see it has friends, right? Fantastic. Well, I'd love to see that vineyard. I get up to Isley once in a while, and I would love to see that old sprawled Semillon vineyard. I'll make a point to track it down next time I'm up that way.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Okay, wine number 2.
Yeah.
Is the Fell.
So Fell is our sister winery. In 2009, Cliff decided to expand his portfolio outside of the Bordeaux varieties, which we focus on at Cliff Lede Vineyards, and focus on cool climate varieties. And so he bought a small winery in the Anderson Valley and then named it Fell after his mom. So Florence Elsie Lede are her initials. And she was a home winemaker when Cliff was growing up. And so he created this wine as an homage and a tribute to her and to honor her, introducing him into the food and wine lifestyle. And when we purchased the winery, Ryan Hodgins was the winemaker, who at the time was the assistant winemaker at Hansel, and he came on full time with us. And I think he makes the Fel Chardonnay in a really exciting style. So it is barrel fermented, but no new oak. So neutral oak, and also the malolactic is discouraged. So the wine gets the richness of a barrel fermentation, the weight, but it finishes really nice and crisp and doesn't have a lot of overtly oaky flavors. So a lot of mineral, a lot of fruit, some floral notes come through in the Fel Chardonnay.
You know, it's very interesting. I just finished doing a piece on the history of Chardonnay styles, and it's funny how this suppressed malo conversion style, which was a very early style, still exists in the marketplace today, as evidenced by this particular wine, and fantastic and so vibrant, just really just electric for me in the glass.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's really fun clonal material, a lot of heritage clones, Old Wenty, and fun heritage clones planted at the Savoy Vineyard, which is now our estate vineyard. So shortly after acquiring the winery in Anderson Valley, Cliff had this amazing opportunity to purchase the Savoy Vineyard. We still sell fruit from that property, but we make a fair amount of it ourselves, and we make the Chardonnay as well as Anderson Valley and Savoy Vineyard designated Pinot Noir in the Fel portfolio.
And some Pinot. Now, Savoy is where in Anderson Valley? There, you know, is it on the southern part of the valley where it's a little bit warmer, or is it more in the northern, more exposed to the maritime influence there?
So it's interesting that you bring that up, because Savoy is right in the middle of the valley. So it gets both of those things. It gets enough sunshine and warmth to create, you know, California exuberant fruit portfolio and profile. But it has a lot of freshness as well, minerality and acidity from its proximity to the ocean. So it's just north of the town of Philo in Anderson Valley.
Absolutely, I can close my eyes and picture it. And can you see it from the road there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, or I'll wave next time I go by.
Maybe what we could do is next time you come up, we'll drive through, and you can come visit our vineyard here in Stag's Leap. We can go up and check out the Levisi vineyard with the Semillon. Yes. And then head all the way up to Anderson Valley.
Road trip, I'm in. All right, I think we're all ready for road trip. Well, thank you, Ryan, who's not with us today, for this really scrumptious Chardonnay. So wine number 3, the big guns.
Yeah, last but not least, it's our 2017 Stag's Leap District Cabernet Sauvignon. Labeled Cabernet Sauvignon, but it's got 5% Merlot, 4% Petit Verdot, and 3% Cabernet Franc. So again, much like the Sauvignon Blanc, we're utilizing those Bordeaux varieties to create those complex layers. The 2017 was a warmer vintage, even for California. So it took a lot of effort in the vineyard to kind of position shoots to protect the fruits, even going to in the most exposed parts of the vineyard, putting up a little shade cloth. So lots of diligent work in the vineyard really paid off with fruit that was just perfectly ripe, fresh acidity. And that vintage is marked by some fires that happened in October of 2017. But luckily we had all the fruit. We did all of our fruit in before the fires, so we were lucky that we didn't have to deal with any smoke taint with this wine. So, but I think this wine took a little more sorting in the winery too. It was a little bit more of a winemaker's vintage, where we had to do some triage and pull some stuff that wasn't ripe or underripe or a little overripe, and then only select the best lots for the final wine. And so I think the results speak for themselves. I think it's a lovely wine, lush and profound, but with a fresh acidity and a lovely balance.
Balance is the first word that came to mind. There's lots of dark fruit in this vintage. Mm-hmm. And maybe it seems like the fruit expression is a little darker than in prior vintages I've tasted, mm-hmm. but it's absolutely so precisely balanced. This wine is, there's no elbows sticking out anywhere, and the tannins are so polymerized. Tell us a little bit about your technique there, and that's an extended maceration technique to help those tannins.
Yeah, well, it's we're lucky. You can see the winery behind me. What you can't probably see is the crane system that we have above each tank. So even though our winery is kind of built on into the cave and hillside here, we utilize those cranes to lift the fruit up gravity style. So we get these, we do like a draconian sorting on our optical sorter, and what goes into the tank are just these perfect little caviar that are just full berries that are slightly cut to release the juice, but the seeds and everything stays inside. And so we're able to do these longer extended macerations to really kind of coax out the tannin extraction over a longer period of time. So it's slower, but so we're able to leave the grapes in from anywhere from 3.5, 4 weeks to up to 5 and 6 sometimes.
That's a very
Drain the
specific.
tank only when we feel like we've extracted the perfect amount, not before, not after. So that's a lovely luxury to have as a winemaker.
Well, that's going to vary by vintage as well, too. So,
Exactly. Yes.
yeah. So,
Exactly. And by varietal to Cab Franc, less extraction and less time on skins, and Cabernet a little bit more. So.
yeah. So each of the lots are vinified separately, and then you blend for this
Exactly.
incredibly balanced result.
Exactly. Yeah, we have a lot of small tanks that we can do, you know, individual blocks and really dial things in. And we do some co-fermentation as well. We've got some good Merlot and some good Cab, and we feel like they'd be great fermented together. And we have a lot of options to us. So that's, as a winemaker, you want to have as many options as you possibly can. And so that's nice to have as well.
Great. Well, the wines are showing incredibly well this morning. Thank you so much for the samples. And thanks for joining us today. It's the Slow Wine Guide. And we look forward to seeing you in the 2021 guide.
Cheers.
Thanks, Deborah.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.